This is the Wall Street Business Network.
South Florida's only business radio station, 880 AM, The Biz. You're listening to Freed on Business. To talk to Jim and his guests, call 305-541-2350. That's 305-541-2350. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, everybody, we are back with Freed on Business, and we are back with one of my favorite guests, Rob Denton. He's the president and founder of True North Financial. He is the guiding force behind the day-to-day operations at True North. He's an industry veteran with a diverse background and deep knowledge of credit and collection policies. Rob has over 25 years' experience in lending, credit risk management, and collections. His background also includes executive-level positions at both public and private companies, specializing in collection accounts receivable financing, equipment leasing, as well as unsecured lending. As always, welcome back, Rob Denton.
Jim, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're the best, Rob. Now, this week, you mentioned oftentimes your clients find you through a referral from other professionals that are perhaps providing them with services. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, in our experience, all businesses we deal with are struggling on many fronts. It's no secret. The raw materials are getting more expensive. The accounts receivable are going up all across the board. And what's happening, we talk to a lot of accountants, lawyers, even wealth managers, and frankly, their practices are all down as well.
Yeah, but their practices are down probably because some of their clientele may have a little bit of a cash flow pinch on their own. Now, you have the ability to help people like that, don't you?
Absolutely. It's no secret that the client base is shrinking, and those clients that are with these wealth management guys and accountants, their clients are still around, but they're struggling and they're having trouble paying even their professional advisors. So sometimes it makes sense for the professional advisor to reach out to us because we may be able to help them with their business issues, the business debt.
Now, if you can help somebody with their business debt, that creates cash flow for everybody in their life. And that creates a priming of the pump that gets the economy going, and you do that by giving them a seat at the table, et cetera. We've talked about this before.
Listen, politics aside, we think it's a fair comment to say that our federal government seems to be bent on making it harder for businesses to get started right now and even harder to get money.
There's no doubt about it. I get calls all the time from friends of mine who, to me, have a big business. I thought it was a small business. I mean, I thought it was a big business. The bank thinks it's a small business. But a guy that's got a $15 million gross revenue, the banks don't want to talk to. It absolutely blows my mind. If I had a $15 million business, I would think I'm a success and a big guy. And to a bank, I'm just a little ant. It's horrible.
You know what? More taxes, more regulation. On top of that, the global economic slowdown, which has lasted way longer than all of us thought it would. I mean, we're all Americans, right? We thought we were very optimistic, but look what's going on.
Yeah, it's year like 6 or 7, and I don't see an end to it. And if, the other brick falls in Europe, we talked about that earlier. It's really kind of unusual. So let me ask you a different kind of question, Rob. What kind of debts will you help people with?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there are certain debts where it makes sense for us to really work with, and others that make it a little bit more difficult. But as far as business debt is concerned, we can work with personally guaranteed matters, unsecured debts, vendor debts, tax matters, things like that, leases, loans. We can help along those lines.
Here's a question I've got for you. I had a guy call me today, said he was interested in going after foreigners that had guaranteed loans and perhaps even buying some of the unsecured debt. Now, I think a lot of people don't realize that if they get a loan forgiveness, that sometimes they may get a 1099, and that working with a group like you, sometimes that can be rolled into part of the negotiation, can't it?
Well, whether or not it can be rolled into the actual negotiation is a debatable issue. I'm not a tax advisor, nor am I a professional in that area.
And you don't even play one on TV?
I don't.
Okay.
But you know what? We do have those experts. So anytime we have a question like that, and I just want to be clear, we're fact-based and proactive, and if we don't know the answer to something, the best advice I can give you is let me find out and get you the right answer. I'm not going to look to wing it or give you something that may put you in further jeopardy. My company, all the advisors with our firm, everyone involved with us, my partners, it's very, very important that we don't give advice that we're not qualified to give.
You see, one of the biggest problems in the market sector, market niche that you guys are in, to me, was always that it was populated by fly-by-nights, quick buck artists, scam artists. I was always very concerned about that. But then when your partner, Bert Oliver, introduced the two of us and I was able to understand what went on with you, it seems to me that what you really deal in is peace of mind.
Without a doubt, peace of mind is very important. And like you just said, there are a lot of quick buck artists that are out there, and some of these guys really don't know what they're doing. You really need to do your due diligence. We encourage it. We're members of the Better Business Bureau, Chambers of Commerce, local media groups that we get involved with, and we encourage you to check us out. And anyone else that you were to work with, we would encourage you to do the same.
Now let's say that I'm a lawyer. I do residential closings. I've got a bunch of clients. They've been talking to me about doing foreclosure defense work, but it's just not the home isn't the only asset that these people have, and that's all they really do. And maybe they're thinking maybe I should advise them to go bankrupt. I mean, there's different grades of help that you can give, and you can work with these wealth advisors and people that are trusted advisors to somebody who may not know what they're doing.
There are a number of ways to get out of debt. There are a number of solutions. Sometimes the right solution is to do nothing. So what we try to do first and foremost, is sort of like a financial triage. We're going to find out what the problems are. We're going to diagnose the solution. And then what we're going to look to do is almost invariably, we're going to look to find out what needs to be done. And it's almost always invariably reducing debt of some idea.
Now there's a bunch of ways that you can reduce the debt. And I know that there's a bunch of responses to the creditor once you've negotiated a settlement. Now, if somebody doesn't have a pool of money that they can go to, how does your firm handle making sure that the money's there when you've negotiated a settlement?
Well, first of all, we are only going to work in a situation where it makes sense for our client. We will never put you in jeopardy or look to negotiate something that you cannot afford. So if we have to put you on a forced savings plan or some kind of budget, we'll do that. But we're always going to sit down with you. It always has to be something that works for you. You come first.
And isn't this part of your agreement with the person when they sign up for True North Financial's financial triage and eventual solution?
Well, one of the most important things to us, believe it or not, is our credibility with the creditors. And the creditors who deal with us know that when True North calls or a member of our firm, they're going to be dealing with someone who's fact-based. And we're not going to speak with a creditor unless we factually know that our client is in a position to work on some kind of settlement. Whether it's a lump sum or whether it's stretched out over a period of time, we're going to make sure that we're in it to win it with the client. The creditor wins, the client wins, and our firm, we're going to win because we want our reputation to speak for itself.
Well, we talked about this a little bit with the Warren Henry guys. It's about credibility, and it's about consistency, and it's about customer service and treating them like family. And everybody that I know that's worked with you, that's what I've heard.
Well, you know what? We communicate the facts objectively and professionally. And for our clients, when we speak to the creditors, 95% of the time, we're going to be armed with the facts, and those creditors are going to talk to us, and they're going to be willing to accept less money because they know it's a factual situation. It's not fabricated. We're going to go in with facts.
Look, there's a lot of high net worth people out there that ran up a bunch of credit cards during the 06, 07 times when those credit cards were easy to get. And maybe things got a little tough in 07 and they still had a lot of juice available on that credit card. And then I called it the period of primordial soup, never ended. People said, well, if this happens and that happens, well, then we're going to be able to make money this way, so I'm going to spend. I'm not worried. It's going to happen. We're still in the same primordial soup. People are still starting and stopping, saying, if this happens, I'll do that. So they may have this enormous exposure and this blown up lifestyle that they thought they could sustain, and now they're in trouble. And you can help them?
Well, we can. What we're looking to do is help reset our clients' financial dynamics. We're going to shed debt, almost like a cargo ship shedding its cargo in a storm. And what happens, if you can picture a boat sailing through a storm and it's balancing, it's trying.
I know a lot of friends.
Listen, if you could shed the debt or shed the cargo, it's going to sail better. And the idea is, in order for America to get going again, in order for small businesses to get going again, it's one of three things: go out of business, try to get more money, go deeper into debt, or shed the debt. Well,
I think that the real way that we should talk about it, at least that we talk about it in the financial world that I operate in, is we call it deleveraging. You just got to get your leverage down, You got to deal with it however you can. If it's paying down the debt, if it's renegotiating the debt. I think that the most important thing, and you mentioned it earlier, is dealing with the creditor in a realistic, honest way. And I think that most borrowers or debtors have a problem with that because of the emotional situation they're in. They feel like they're at a cliff, that they're holding a bunch of bricks on their back, and they just can't get out of it, and they're backed into a corner. If somebody's feeling like that, how do they get in touch with you, Rob?
First of all, you're going to want to call us, all right? And the best way to reach us is on 954-379-4728. That's direct for me. You can go to our website, which is www.truenorthfinancial.net. But what I would suggest that you do, really, is email me directly. It's rob@truenorthfinancial.net.
All I can say is that a lot of America is hurting today, and Rob, you're just one of the people that America needs, somebody to help us keep going and getting us back on the stick. As always, I want to thank Rob Denton for coming in today. Stick with us. We're going to have Brian Gale, principal at Taylor & Mathis, up next. We're going to talk the Miami office market. Back after this.